Hi, I'm Jonathan Mayo, your host and creator of Cleaning Closets, Panels on Air. And today we are going to discuss how marriage equality impacts the coming out process. And our guest today comes straight from the front line of the Kim Davis battle. Also, I'd like to say happy National Coming Out Day. It is a great holiday that we are kind of celebrating today. It's a human rights campaign holiday, if you will. So if you want to learn more about it, you can go to their website, hrc.org. This is not in affiliation with them, just so you know, but I do want to honor them because it's such a great thing to think about is the coming out process. Today's guest, I have with me my twin from our theater fraternity, Theta Alpha Phi. This is Dallas. And then I also have Danielle and Becca, and then Eric Yoke. So they're all down in Morehead, Kentucky, or in that area right now as we speak. But first, I'd like to talk a little bit about what you all think. Oh, well, first, let me go around and get everyone's PGP. So, Dallas, what's your preferred gender pronoun? Mine, as usual, is he, him, his. And so...
Well, most of the time I just go by he.
Okay, great, awesome. And then Danielle, yours? Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. And then Danielle and Becca, how about you?
She, her, hers. And I go by them, their, theirs, or she, her, hers.
Okay. And Becca? Great. Did you say yours, Becca? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Yes. They, them, theirs, or she, her, hers.
Okay, great, great. And then Eric?
I go by he, him, his.
Great. Okay. So I want to talk to you all a little bit about, sorry, Keisha's kind of getting on the line right there. So we have one more guest that might be popping up, just so everyone knows. And so what do you think the impact is that marriage equality has on the coming out process? Anyone?
Overall, I feel like it's actually a really huge impact because if you are part in a nationally recognized thing like equality, it makes it a little bit easier in certain cases where you might be able to think, well, I'm actually a little bit more accepted or a little bit more put to the same pedestal that heterosexual couples have had the same privileges that we're just now getting. So having that and being able to have that knowledge whenever someone comes out is definitely a huge impact.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? How do you think? I mean, I just think it's interesting because I think part of coming out is feeling, like you have, what's the term I'm looking for? Representation. So that integration into society, and I think, oh, now I can marry the person that I love legally. And so I am now a part of community. So maybe I can come out. What are your thoughts, Danielle and Becca?
I think that, before being able to marry who you wanted, as long as they were the opposite sex, before then I think that, I know I personally felt kind of like isolated. And so now that this has happened, I mean, I'm already out to my family previous to the ruling. However, I think that those that aren't out, maybe this is like a less of an isolation, and they can feel like, okay, well, I see that there are people out there like me, so I can be who I am because I see that other people are like me.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah. Yeah. Twinsy, how about you? Do you think that marriage equality will now make the coming out process easier?
I 100% believe it will, because before, when you were in the closet or even out of the closet, we had a sense of segregation in our, society. It was always us and them, and that was always a problem. Throughout the history of our country, starting off with women in the suffrage movement, they had to fight for their rights as well. They were segregated. You don't deserve these rights. You don't deserve to go here. You don't deserve to have this. And then with the African American in the civil rights movement. It was the same thing. Okay, well, we'll make allowances for you. You can drink at this water fountain and you can sit in the back of the bus, but you do not have the right to do the following other things.
Mm-hmm.
And even now, like even with Kim asking us to go to other counties, that was just the same form of segregation.
Mm-hmm.
And now our society can be more inclusive and say, hey, you belong. And I think that right there will impact the coming out process tremendously, because it's no longer going to be considered, well, it will still, but as time passes, it will cease to, seem like a social amore for other, for homosexual individuals who are in our society. It being inclusive.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Keisha. Welcome aboard. And we are live. Sorry, I knew you said you wouldn't maybe have some internet connection, so I didn't know if maybe because I couldn't get a hold of you, so I thought, oh, maybe she couldn't get on. So welcome. This is Keisha, everyone. And so we
Hi, Grandma. I love your smile as always.
Yeah, a beautiful smile, definitely. Keisha, could you tell us your PGP, your preferred gender pronoun?
She, her, and hers.
Awesome, thanks. Is this new? This little nose thing?
Yeah.
I like it. So we're just kind of talking about right now, do you think that marriage equality is making the coming out process easier?
I think it's making it easier because we have more allies than we have had in the past. Well, we have more allies who are willing to come out than we have had in the past. We have people who are willing to take stands with us. As a lot of us here in the group have seen in Morehead, we have a lot more people in the community that we now know support us than we knew we had before. So I think it's making it easier, definitely. I know I'm out to more people personally.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And just so everyone knows that's watching, Keisha and Eric were both in the production of Cleaning Closets at Morehead State University. I went down there earlier this year. That's my alma mater. And we did a show. We devised a show out of the students' own stories down there. It got snowed out. It was a crazy time. I even had, I don't know if I told you all this, but I had a kidney stone during the time we were snowed into the house. So it was definitely a rough week.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was a snowpocalypse happened. We got to do one show out of this like 6 scheduled, and I actually thought about it because we celebrated National Coming Out Day with the Multiculturalism and Inclusion Office and Alliance on campus, and the door that we used for the coming out process that people got to use, it's the door from Cleaning Closets, and they painted it black, and I was like, this door looks really familiar, and I looked at the door handle, and I was like, oh, I know what this is. Like, this is from my show.
I love it. That's so funny. So then let's jump into it. Let's talk about then what's going on in Morehead. Can one of you maybe perhaps give us a little overview of what's been happening? I think everyone does know that Kim Davis is the county clerk that was refusing to give marriage licenses to people after the law was passed. Can anyone kind of give us a brief overview other than that, what's been going on?
Keisha, did you protest over the summer? Okay, then how about you start with over the summer, and then we'll talk about the rally.
Okay, great.
You have a charger?
Okay.
Was that pointed at you, Eric? Who's going to talk about the protest?
I'll talk about the protest.
Okay, thanks, Alex.
I started at, when I first heard that Kim Davis was not going to give out marriage licenses, it was actually like, I was very upset because I know Kim Davis.
Okay.
And I've known her for quite some time. And I was, I consider her one of my friends. So it was a real huge smack in the face. I didn't actually expect it at all. I didn't think she would do it. I knew she had personal beliefs against it, but I believed that she would, do her job. And so when I heard that she was not going to do her job, I went to start a protest or try to get everyone organized, and found out that Josh Akers had already jumped on that boat. So I met with him and a bunch of other individuals outside the courthouse, and nothing was organized. We had just started, but, everyone came in with a singular purpose, and we met each other And after that, we became organized. We came up with the Round County Rights Coalition. I really haven't had a lot to do with it. You know, I put in some of my input. I've helped with organizing protests, going to Covington, and it was a huge ordeal. Her arguing her religious freedoms, which she felt was being, you know, attacked because we were asking for our civil liberties.
Mm.
So that's what the protest was about, and the fact that she had to be held legally accountable for her actions because she was trying to use her position, her office, to deny others their rights based off her own personal feelings towards homosexuals and, you know, marriage equality. And it was a long, brutal battle. Most of the days are really hot. We had a lot of people that were very unfriendly, but then for every person that was unfriendly, we had at least 10 people honking their horns and, you know, support.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
that was touching. People from our community that I would never thought would be, you know, accepting or supportive. They were honking their horns in support. They wanted it. They wanted us to have that.
That's so great to hear. Okay, so that was the protests, and there were protests all summer. And so Danielle, what can you add to that?
So in the first week of September, last week of August, there was a rally, and that was the last day of the month. The courthouse is open on Saturday.
Okay.
For that week, but it only happens like at the end of the month. And so the Round County Rights Coalition decided that they were going to have a rally that day because a lot of people work Monday through Friday and there wasn't like a consistent group out there. And so they kind of hosted this rally, and because of the rally, Kim Davis did not open up the county clerk's office.
Oh.
So she refused to open up the office because of the rally happening out in the free speech area. That's that grassy area right out in front of the courthouse there. And so, I mean, that didn't stop us. We stayed out there all day long. There were national organizations out there. There was tons of media out there. We did face painting, and people brought food, and we had a huge sign, like Dallas was saying, you know, people just kept honking. We had a big sign, and it said, "Honk for Equality," and just the amount of people that just went by and honked greatly outnumbered the people that drove by and kind of, like, flipped you off or were very, like, gave you a stare or something. And it was nice to see that you had that much support in the community. And then a lot of the students, especially in Alliance, like, we continue to go out there with the Round County Rights Coalition, like in between classes and stuff. I know a lot of us, I would take people out there for just an hour in between classes and did that 4 and 5 times a day, Monday through Friday. And then we watched her get served the paperwork where she was going to have to be going to court in Ashland with Judge Bunning. And so we, that day, out there on the lawn, like, coordinated who was riding with who to get to Ashland. And a lot of the people that are in Alliance showed up for that hearing. And I don't think that there were that many people from Alliance that got to sit in on the hearing. I know that Becca and I got to actually sit in on it, on that hearing. And it was really interesting because, you know, whenever the judge says, I need concrete evidence as to why you cannot issue these marriage licenses, like, Exhibit A in the courtroom was opened up, and her conscience was Exhibit A.
Mm.
And that kind of hurt, because I was like, you're making yourself a victim when there are thousands of victims of what you are doing.
Mm.
And that didn't set easy with me at all. But it was, overall, a really successful day. I mean, you know, she got what she expected, I think, in the end to happen. But
Okay.
it was an interesting day.
You mentioned 2 groups, the Alliance and the Round County Rights Coalition. Can you kind of tell me what the Alliance does? And
The Alliance,
your role in the Alliance?
yes. I'm the president of Alliance. I am the treasurer. And the Alliance is a LGBT all alphabet community, an ally group on campus. We're extremely inclusive, and we have a lot of different events on campus. We host a drag show, which is coming up at the end of October on the 27th. Our philanthropy is Ave all the AIDS volunteers of Lexington. So the day of the drag show, they come down and do free AIDS testing for the entire campus. Whoever is interested can get an HIV test for free, and a lot of students take advantage of that. And we're a very like close-knit family group, very inclusive group on campus that anybody can be a part of and feel like a family and feel like they have a home. A lot of the people that come into our group don't have a good home life because they're not out or because they are out and their family and their friends aren't accepting. And so this is kind of like their home away from home where they can get that closeness.
And with that, like, there's several members of the Alliance that actually like come over and hang out with us at our apartment just to get off campus because they don't have a home that they can go to feel accepted. So they come here and we just cook food and watch movies and play Mario Kart. Like we're one big family.
I love that. So kind of like a chosen family. Yeah, I love that. I love that. So and then can you tell me what the Rowan County Rights Coalition is?
The Rowan County Rights Coalition, the head of that group is Josh Akers. Naisha is the secretary. What role does Terrell play, Keisha?
Terrell is the event coordinator for it.
And then Mary?
Public.
I believe.
I think.
She does something with the media. She's
okay.
Responds to the media. I'm not sure what exactly they made that title.
Now, so was this coalition founded in response to what was happening with Kim Davis?
Yes, it was founded in response to what was happening with Kim Davis. Basically, a couple people, my roommate Terrell and Josh got together and they decided that they were going to protest the day that they realized that Kim Davis was going to refuse to sign the marriage licenses. And from there, we just kind of formed a coalition, and they invited people that they knew were supportive of LGBT rights, and then it just kind of really took off from there, and we have people from like Australia in it and stuff now, which is really crazy.
Wow. Keisha, can I see your eyes a little bit more?
Can you see my eyes more?
Yeah, thank you. Well, they were cut off, and I wanted to see your whole face.
Hold on.
Great. Okay, so where are we now with the Kim Davis debacle, as I'll refer to it?
Well, now her office is issuing licenses, but instead of having her title and her name on it, they are saying pursuant to a federal court order, which is by some being argued that is her interfering with the office's daily issuance of marriage licenses, which is part of her release from jail whenever she was found in contempt, that she should not interfere. And so having that, people are trying to get it to a point where everything is the same across the board.
Okay. So this is just, it's just crazy. It's gotten all this national attention. And it's so funny that we do that show at Cleaning Closets. We do it in February, not having any clue that this was going to happen. I don't think any of us knew this was, and it just blew up nationally. What do you think that the image? What do you think the image is that the media is creating about Morehead?
I think it definitely depends on the type of newscast that it is. Like me and Danielle and Becca and a bunch of people have been interviewed regionally by WSAZ, places out of Lexington, Louisville, and they've been very non-judgmental about it. They've gotten both sides equally and had people say their pieces. there are certain news programs that have painted it in a negative light. There are some that have painted it positively. Al Jazeera America came to MSU, and me and a couple of other Alliance members were interviewed for it, and they painted it in such a positive light that Morehead's such a welcoming place, and Morehead is it's just this place where anybody can go to. I know that that's one of the reasons why I chose Morehead, is because of the Alliance and because it's so inclusive of anybody that wants to be here. I came in middle school on a trip, and I saw someone who portrayed very masculine gender expression, but also wore heels, and so that fascinated me. So being able to come to Morehead and be in that inclusive environment, and then having that portrayed out on the news to say Morehead is a beacon between the hills, or whatever they're calling it, to say this is a place where anybody can feel comfortable, is absolutely great, and it's definitely been portrayed more positive than negative.
Well, that's good to hear, because I feel the same way. I went there and I chose that place because I felt welcomed, and it's a beautiful campus as well. It's, nestled in the foothills of Appalachia. But I think people also have this pre-existing notion of what Appalachia is. And I think we all can agree to some extent that maybe it is not. I mean, it's very conservative, obviously, and Kentucky is, and we all have roots in Kentucky somewhere. And it was hard for me to grow up, but times are a little different now. But do you think that people are confusing Morehead State with Morehead the town, and judging them both the same way?
I believe Morehead, the city of Morehead, and MSU makes the city of Morehead what it is. It's, a lot of people in the, in our public, in the community, that weren't members of, who did not go to Morehead State University, were also showing support. MSU brought a lot of diversity into our town, and a lot of people chose to stay and make Morehead their home. So I believe there's not really a confusion, because they are pretty much the same thing. They make us, they make more. There, please.
You have to go get my phone, because the phone's gonna die.
Oh, anyways, Morehead State University. Oh, hey, Eric. Coexist. We are a spot. We are a space. I really don't know how to explain it.
No, I totally, so they coexist, but at the same time, this Kim Davis is not related to Morehead State. It's kind of given that reputation that everyone in that area believes the way she does. Now, what do you think are some of the reasons? Now, obviously, she said it's for religious reasons. Or is that the main reason you hear in your area, that that's why people are against marriage equality?
Most definitely. That's a huge issue here. Well, Morehead State is right in the heart of the Bible Belt of anywhere, especially the Bible Belt of Kentucky. And basically any and all of the protests that we saw that were for Kim Davis, that were protesting marriage equality, was something based on religion. It was something based on God created Adam and Eve, or one man, one woman. That's exactly what God said. And it goes back to one of the things that I said in one of my interviews with News, was that's their opinion, but their opinion can't define our lives. They have their rights to their religion. They have their rights to doing what they want to do and practice the way that they want to practice, as long as it doesn't hurt or infringe on anyone else. And using a position like that to promote your religion is a way of infringing on someone else. There was one thing, she was interviewed by ABC News, I believe it was, and she said if she resigns, she loses her voice. And that to me spoke way more than any type of her silence, was because she's saying she's using her position for her voice and her religion. And that to me is unacceptable.
Yeah. So then what is the next step in marriage equality then? Because it seems like the fight's not over.
But right now, things are okay. That's the thing. I was talking to Naisha last night, and we were talking about how, we still have all these people, especially like in Alliance and in the Rowan County Riots Coalition, who are still like so fired up and so angry. But right now, marriage licenses are being issued, and the governor of Kentucky and Judge Bunning signed off that they are valid. So the validity of the marriage license is not in question anymore. So if it's being issued and things are okay right now, just ride the wave. Things are going okay. Now come election time, this might all get fired up.
Mm,
Well,
We're okay, I think.
yeah.
there is a few things that are going on now. Kentucky State Farm Bureau, the insurance agency, they're not recognizing marriage licenses between homosexuals. That's something that's recently came up, and I think that's going to be the next step. One of the steps we're going to have to work towards is getting like businesses, insurance agencies, and other things to recognize these marriage licenses, because there's still people out there like Kim Davis, corporations who are against,
Right.
marriage equality, and they're not going to recognize it. And when that becomes like a legal issue, and this is going to start all over. Yes, the fight's still going to go. Kim Davis was one opponent, but there's going to be other people that are going to try to stand in the way of marriage equality and use their bigotry and their own personal beliefs to deny others their rights, their civil liberties. But yeah.
So Dallas, you said that you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you can go ahead. I'm done.
You said that you consider yourself friends with Kim Davis. Has that relationship changed?
I still care about her.
Mm.
I care about people in general.
You do.
And Johnny, you've known me to forgive people that have been really, really bad to me, and I overlooked it and just let it slide off my back. Kim is not a horrible person. She's not. She's done this, and this is a horrible thing. But in the end, the thing that she's not seeing that, I can see and other people kind of refuse to see in each other is that we're all alike. We all want to be happy. We all want to, be with our families. We all want to love one another and, love our families. But sometimes our own personal beliefs get in the middle of that, and we don't really know how to do that at times. Mm-hmm. We see people as enemies or separate from us, because of their differences. But we don't really see how we're all really a lot alike in a lot of different ways. We all cry. We all laugh. We can feel joy. We can feel pain. We can feel sorrow. Mm-hmm. And that's what it means to be human.
Right.
And for a long time, a lot of homosexual youth were made to not feel human because they were degraded. Mm-hmm. I think I forgot who it was that said, I think it was David, when he said that we felt less human because we were denied this.
Mm-hmm. It was.
And when people see us as being different, as being separate, when we have that divide. And I want to be Kim's friend, and hopefully one day she will see and realize what she's done, and
But we all have to know she stands up for what she believes in. So Keisha, I see you nodding your head a lot. Now, what do you think about, Keisha? What are some of your thoughts? I see you nodding your head a lot in agreement with a lot of people.
I am a religious person, so I understand that she thinks that she has a right and a duty to stand for what she believes in, and that is fine. I interpret the Bible a bit differently than she does. To me, my God is a God of love. He's a God of acceptance. There are times in the Bible that it mentions that he doesn't see gender. So there's kind of my stance on what the Bible actually says about homosexuality. And this is also a book that has been translated multiple times.
Right.
And
probably mostly by men.
Yeah, you can't completely translate things, and actually I think there are 7 different terms for love in Hebrew, and they all mean a different kind of love. So I don't think it can all be translated as one way, and I think sometimes we take things too literally. Also, a lot of scriptures that are quoted against homosexuality are taken from the Old Testament, and in the New Testament it says that we no longer abide by Old Testament laws.
Okay.
So my thoughts on the whole Kim Davis issue is that if she is going to take those laws from Leviticus, then she should also follow all the other laws in Leviticus. She does not.
So you mentioned a lot. I do know that religion is a big part of your life as we grew to know each other. What are your thoughts about Kim Davis and the Pope and her meeting with the Pope?
Well, I actually didn't read any of the stuff with that. I just was like, okay, she met with the Pope. That's cool. I think it's great that she got to meet with the Pope. I would have loved to chat with the Pope.
Right.
I don't know what was said. I just knew that she met with him.
Danielle, you're raising your hand. Pick you. Okay.
It was so funny because my mom and I talked about this the other day, and my mom's catchphrase now is, "She done went and lied on the Pope." And she said, my mom goes, "I think that's worse than lying on the president." Okay, so, her lawyers set up this whole kind of like interview where they were like, yeah, and she got a rosary that was blessed by the Pope, and all these different things. Okay, so the Vatican released a statement about her meeting the Pope. She did meet the Pope. It happened. He did not know who she was. He shook her hand as he shook hundreds of other people's hands. Hold on, Eric. As he shook hundreds of other people's hands, and the Archbishop in Washington, D.C., who will be turning in his letter of resignation in January, according to the article that the Vatican sent out, is the one that invited her. Because that's what he wanted. Each archbishop is allowed to, invite so many different figures, and then, the general public, whatever spots are left. Every single person in that crowd got a rosary. There was a basket whenever you left the area where you were shaking the Pope's hand. So she probably did pick up a rosary, but it was not this intimate meeting with him coming up to see her and these kinds of things. In the interview with one of the lawyers, it was the popes had contacted her directly. No, the Archbishop in Washington, D.C. is the one that contacted her directly. It said that the Pope told her to change her hairstyle so that she would not be recognized. You've been on national television. Your interviews have been translated into a ton of different languages. You would be recognized.
Yeah.
Just changing your hairstyle isn't going to make you unrecognizable in a crowd.
That's if you're Clark Kent.
And so, the only person that he had a meeting with was a former student of his and his partner of 19 years. That was the only private meeting that he had. So, her lawyers have said all of this. The Pope is probably just like, what? And the Vatican sent out a statement, sent out an article that was posted from the Vatican that completely goes against everything that her lawyers have been pushing and pushing and pushing that she has done. So, yeah, she met the Pope. She shook his hand in a line with hundreds of other people. He did not speak to her. He did not have a private meeting with her. That's what the Vatican...
Well, it looks like, Eric, you have something you'd like to add.
In a condensed version, what had happened was Danielle is right. The Archbishop invited her specifically, and this Archbishop specifically is known as a opponent of gay marriage. And she met in an audience with dozens of other people. And what had happened is that they had said that she was in a private meeting, but that was proven false. And her lawyers themselves, the Liberty Counsel, have been proven multiple times to have been lying on multiple things. One of the things that they posted was a picture from, I think, Peru of 400,000 people in a group together, and they were 400,000 strong for Kim Davis. This picture was proven false, that it wasn't a rally for her. the picture was from a year ago for a totally different thing.
I didn't even hear about any of this. That's
Oh,
great.
it was crazy. It was wild. But the Southern Poverty Law Center has actually taken a stance and claimed and named the Liberty Council as a hate group because of their stance against the LGBT community and because of the lies and the propaganda that they're giving for Kim Davis and for their cause that is helping them, because that's all that the Liberty Council is trying to do, is further their cause and further their beliefs rather than anyone else's. And everything, like Danielle said, the Vatican, they tried to stay out of it as long as possible. I will give this to them because they didn't want any conflict. They didn't know what was going on, and they eventually had to come out and say, we did not meet with her privately. We didn't talk to her about staying strong in her fight against marriage equality. We didn't do this. We didn't do that. This is all propaganda, and that's the word that I use all the time for it because it's nothing other than that.
Yeah, everything I saw from the Vatican so far that I read, which is probably not up to date, but was very neutral in saying, you know, yes, we met her, the end, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave you all with one last question then. So we've talked about marriage equality and just the term marriage equality. Okay, so the law has passed. Are we equal now?
No, absolutely not.
What's our next fight then after marriage equality?
There are tons of places all over the country where you can still be fired or kicked out of housing for being a member or the LGBT community, or even being perceived as a member of the LGBT community. There are places where LGBT couples cannot adopt. There are tons of other fights and tons of other issues that we still have to cover all over the country, on college campuses, in workplaces, in housing, in everything else. We just started working on identifying gender expression and gender identity on this campus under our anti-discrimination policies. And there's, like I said, there's tons of other issues. We are in no way completely and fully equally recognized under the law as heterosexual or perceived heterosexual couples or people.
You're right, and there's a lot of stuff going on even here in Chicago that is just now making it to the forefront. So we've got a long way to go, but I think we've come a long way as well, and that's thanks to great people like you. So once again, thank you all for joining us. This was the last panel discussion on air for Cleaning Closets until we decide to do it again. But happy National Coming Out Day. Also, if you're a Walking Dead fan, the season premiere is tonight, so I'm super excited about that. I love the number 11 as well because it's number one twice. Why be number one once when you can be number one twice? Thanks again to Dallas, my twin from Theta Alpha Phi, Danielle and Becca, Eric, and Keisha. This has been a Cleaning Closet production.
Twinsy.
Bye.